This is Up for Debate, episode number 301, recorded August 13th, 2025. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Up for Debate, the debate podcast where the two hosts mostly agree on everything. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by an honorary member of Floops Fooblies. It's Matt Mariani. Hello, Matt.
Yes. Hello, Sean. I'm amazed that you remembered that. Foops. What was it again? Foops?
Floops
Flublies?
Fooblies. I just watched the movie.
Okay.
Matt, come on. Are you telling on you are rewatching all the movies, right?
I am mostly rewatching. I will
I,
say,
I will admit, I did not finish all of tonight's movies, but I watched most of them.
yeah. I think, but I remember Foop. It's the Foobly. The Foop part is fine.
Floop is
Floop?
the Alan Cummings
Right.
character.
The Foobly.
The
Floop.
Fooblies are those little mutant monsters, and then the thumb guys.
Yes.
Very strange.
Floops. Flublies.
Fooblies.
And the thumb.
Yes,
Thumb.
and the thumbs. Oh my god, we got so much to talk about, Matt. We got a super exciting show for everyone out there tonight. Last week we started. We're in our second week of our 2000s movie review series, where we're going to find the most 2000s movies between 2000 and 2009. Last week we had a great kickoff, starting with action films, and tonight we are talking about kids films from that decade. We've got 4 movies we're going to talk about. We're going to select one by the end of the show. Now, Matt, before we get into it, I have to give 2 disclaimers, if you don't mind. The first is I'm going to give it on every one of these episodes. Be forewarned, Matt and I will be wrong. We will give wrong opinions. We will pick the wrong movies, and ultimately the wrong movie will win the whole challenge. And by the end, you're going to look at us and say, wow, these guys are morons. They don't know what they're doing. We agree. We don't know what we're doing. These are our opinions. They are not right. They're often wrong, but we're proud of our opinions, and the whole point of the show is for us to talk about them. So just enjoy the ride, not the destination.
Yeah, and put your money where your mouth is.
Listen, if you think you're so,
tell us to our face that we're wrong.
come on the show. Listen, if you disagree with our opinions, bring it on.
Go to Sean's house.
Yes.
Tell him that he's wrong.
Yep.
I dare
People
you.
do it normally all the time.
I triple dog dare you.
I'm super used to it. My second disclaimer is I want to be upfront about this, because a lot of people I said, hey, we're going to be doing this concept on the show, 2000s movies. The first movie I got pitched, 80% of the time I told them, was Shrek. Everyone said, like Shrek, right? And I had to be like, actually, the immediate movie you thought of, we're not talking about. And so I want to get ahead of it, because I know we're going to get that feedback. Why aren't you guys talking about Shrek? The way we did this is for each category, Matt picked 2 movies, I picked 2 movies. Matt, you can speak to your own reasons why you picked yours. I didn't want to pick Shrek, mainly because, I don't think there's a lot to talk about. It's a great movie. I think people generally like it. It's not a controversial or interesting topic to talk about. And the other thing is, I disagree with the idea that it's a very 2000s movie. It's a great movie. It's an iconic movie, but it doesn't really tell a great story of the decade like some of the other movies we're going to talk about. So, and I just didn't want to talk about it. So this is that. Go back to my first disclaimer. We get to pick what we talk about, but I don't want to hear any complaints that we didn't do Shrek. I just don't think it would have been an interesting discussion. But Matt, I don't know if you have a different opinion on that.
The reason that I didn't choose Shrek is I'm ogre it.
Yeah.
I'm ogre it. I'm ogre these movies, right? So no, I think it's like Shrek. There's a lot of 2000s references in the movie that kind of time capsule it a little bit, but I always thought Shrek is timeless. Like the spirit of Shrek lives on, and I would say I would argue that it actually was more of like a cult classic in the 2000s and kind of grew into more mainstream popularity in the 2010s. With the references and the internet culture around it. I'll just say that I think for my money, I think there are other films that are more other children's films that are more 2000s coded, because and that's just my opinion, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of movies we could have chosen, and I think the story of DreamWorks Animation. We have two Pixar movies tonight, and I'm excited because they're very different Pixar movies, and they tell a good Pixar story. We're going to talk about the Pixar story. To me, DreamWorks is a studio of the 2010s. They really, if you remember, the first half of from 2000 to like 2006, other than Shrek, all their movies were like Sinbad, The Legends of the Seven Seas, and Joseph, King of Dreams, all the Road to El Dorado, like all those bombs nobody remembers. So it wasn't really a great decade for them, and they didn't have another big hit after Shrek until Kung Fu Panda in 2008, and then How to Train Your Dragon in 2010. So honestly, I just don't think that decade is a good story for them. They don't really start popping until after 2010. So just want to get that out of the way. But I'd rather, Matt, talk about the movies we have on our list for tonight. We've got 4 films: Spy Kids, The Cat in the Hat. We've got Cars and The Incredibles. It's a dynamite lineup. Where would you like to start?
Let's start with Spy Kids.
I love it chronologically. That came
Oh, yeah.
first, released March 30th, 2001. Grossed $150 million at the box office with a crisp 88-minute runtime from director Robert Rodriguez. Matt, what do you think of Spy Kids?
I liked it. I mean, yeah, I liked it. Overall, it watching it again, I forgot a lot of what this movie was about, and like maybe like a lot of the subtext kind of went over my head as a kid about the nature of overzealous corporations and turning people into like workers into slaves, wage slavery. There's a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's removing identities, like the identities of workers. It's all very like very it's all very more a lot more nuanced than I thought. There's a lot more going on in the film.
Yep.
Um and when you're a kid, it's just kind of like a fun family adventure movie where everybody's got something to do. I remember that's what I liked about the original movie. But looking back on it, the parents are not really in this for that long. What do you think about that? I think that I mean the movie is called Spy Kids, but um, how do you feel about the way they divvied up the airtime with them?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the sort of origin of the film, the idea was basically 007, but they're children, and that's the film they made, and it's not about the parents, it's about the kids. And so I wasn't surprised that was the case. I maybe was more impressed than anything else. One of the interesting things about this movie is the lack of star talent. No disrespect to Antonio Banderas and Alan Cumming, I guess, but they're really the biggest stars in this movie. Um, and there's no headline. The two kids are the headliner, and they didn't have many acting roles before this. So it was definitely impressive that they were allowed to lead a $35 million movie.
Well, let's talk about Alan Cumming for a minute because I think
I would, I'd love to.
I think he actually steals the show here. Like he I this watch around he impressed me a lot more than I think in my original viewing of it. I think as a villain and as kind of like a turncoat villain, like he starts out as kind of like a Willy Wonka, like wacky figure, and
Yeah.
then he's got like a dark side that you don't really see until about this film's like second act. It kind of shows its hand, and I thought he played both sides of that character super well.
That character had way more nuance than it had any business having. Like there was layers to it, and I actually like felt the character. By the way, our second Alan Cummings movie on the show, of course,
That's
Goldeneye
right.
being the other, which he was fantastic in.
I am
Um,
invincible.
I think, listen, if they wanted to make a Floop spin-off movie, I'd be all for it. I think it was great. I think, credit to the movie itself for giving him that role and that flexibility. I mean, let's get this out of the way. This movie's crazy. I mean, it's like crazy. And I remembered little bits of it as I was watching. It was starting to come back to me. I did not remember it being this wild. I mean, it looks crazy. The
Yeah,
action's crazy. It's got that Robert Rodriguez style that we'll later see in obviously the sequels to this film, Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl and others. And so to put a bold actor like Alan Cummings into this, to be honest, that's where I thought like Antonio Banderas and Carla Gugino, where they kind of fell a little flat because they weren't leaning into that as much. When you get Alan Cummings getting to go wild like that, even Terry Hatcher, I thought was fun. Um, and Cheech Martin, Cheech Marin,
Mhm.
and Tony Shalhoub was great.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah. How
Tony
about
Shalhoub
that?
was great.
I
You know,
forgot Tony Shalhoub was in this. Yeah.
I didn't recognize him until later in the movie because I think he takes off his mustache. I'm like, that's Tony
Yeah.
Shalhoub. Um, so yeah, so I really did. He was great, and I think anyone who was allowed to really go crazy in this movie did a good job. And by the way, we should talk about this. The kid actors. I mean, this is a rare movie. It's led by two children. They're the biggest on the poster. They have the most screen time. Um, I'm curious. Were your thoughts on the child actors? Did they live up to their top billing?
Um, Here's the thing with movies with kids and this era, and I think a little bit before this too. I think they weren't super great, but that's okay. And we used to be okay with that. Now,
Yeah,
I think there's this weird expectation for child actors and actresses in Hollywood to be like experts in their craft, right? And like we wanted them to be kids. And I think they did a great job of being kids. We wanted them in some scenes to have fun.
yeah.
And I think they did a great job of having fun. And I think that's great. I think that's fine. Like, were they incredible actors? Were they extremely believable all the time? No. But they were, how old were they when they made these movies? Like,
That's a really good question.
I think,
I can probably find out pretty
uh,
quickly.
yeah,
Let's
they
see.
were
She was born in 88 and this movie came out in '01.
2001,
So you're talking
12, 13, 12, 13.
yeah.
She's
Yeah, and
12 or
he was
13.
younger.
And he
So,
was, yeah, he was like a couple years younger. So,
yeah.
like, that's okay. Like, and this was, probably their first major roles, unless I'm
And by the
mistaken.
way, still their most famous roles. Yes.
Yes, I was gonna I wanted to get into where they ended up, and it looks like not in they did a lot. She did a lot, but
And yeah, and he did too. I
not a
mean,
whole
he's
lot
appeared
that's
in a few
known.
things. They
He was
haven't led anything. Although I just learned she was the movie Twister, a personal
Mhm.
favorite of mine. At the beginning of the movie, there's the tornado where it's young Joe and her father gets killed. She played young Joe in
Okay.
Twister. So there you go.
She was in Little Giants. That
Yes.
that actually might have been her first major role, but she was like what is that, 94, so she was like 5 or 6 when that movie came out. Yeah, they were good. They were fine. Looking back on that now, I think we just have to accept. I'm just going through her whole filmography, don't mind me. She had a short-lived music career. She had a hit a well, she had a song called "You Are Where I Live." She had another song called "Christmas is the Time to Say I Love You."
Oh, that sounds nice.
So, yeah, she's been in a lot of movies. She even was in another film with Danny Trejo, who appears in
Oh,
this movie as their uncle,
yes.
right?
Yes, that's
She
right.
wa- she was she played Killjoy in Machete Kills. I have
Yeah.
not seen that movie, but she was in that. So, um, anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at with the kids. Like, they're fine. They're
They
fine.
got they got the job done.
They got the job done. Now,
Yeah.
where's Daryl Sabara is the name of Junie. That's
Yes.
Junie all grown up.
Yes.
And I'm looking at he was in Ultimate Spider-Man. He was the voice of Rhino.
Oh, good for
That
him.
might have been his next
My man's working.
big role. He's actually it looks like he really is primarily a voice actor. He was in
Good work.
Gravity Falls,
Great show.
Avengers Assemble, the TV series, The Green Inferno. He was in a number of Saints Row the Third, the video game. So he did a lot of voice work. Which is
Yeah,
good.
I think and maybe this is where we'll pivot a little bit. into, throughout our 2000s movie review, we're going to talk about what we thought of the movie, but we're also going to talk about the impact on the decade and how it is as a 2000s movie. Um, and when it comes to Spy Kids, I'm kind of torn because it's a very unique film in its look, in its style, in its pacing, the use of green screen. Um, it's very unique, and I wonder if it's too unique. What else from the 2000s really looked like this? I think it's memorable because it's unique, but does it represent the decade? I'm not sure, Matt. What do you think?
Yeah, it's tough. This is a tough one. This is the one where, to me, what was most 2000s about this movie was probably the technology. And I don't mean the technology used to make the film, although that might be indicative of something, like the CG mixed with the live action. But I think what I mean by the technology is like the spy technology, like the stuff that the equipment that they carried with them, the recording, the that stuff was the 2000s had this unique aesthetic for technology where things were fun but also functional. Now, today, I think that we've traded in a lot of that funness for strict, like just bare bones functionality.
Hmm.
That's why every gaming console looks almost the same. Every controller looks exactly the same. The layout of every computer pretty much looks the same. Back then, I think there was more. I mean, you can look at the gaming consoles as great evidence of this, right? Your Nintendo GameCube looked completely different from anything that had come before it, but especially different from the other its rival consoles in the generation. The Xbox, when that came out, looked completely different from the PS2. The PS2 was different. So they weren't trying to, like, everybody was kind of trying to innovate the style. And I think that the technology that the kids have, that the parents have, the spy technology, the stuff like that, it was fun. Like, the the little video thing that they watch people on, it could just look like a video screen, but instead it's
Hmm.
got like all this crazy stuff on it. It's got all
Yeah.
these like things. I was surprised. I mean, this would be a great movie. I don't, and you can correct me if maybe you did see this, but there could have been like a clear, like a piece of clear plastic technology in there. That would have been so 2000s to have that. Um, but is it enough for me to really call this a 2000s, like, indicative of all kids movies in the 2000s? I don't really know. I'm
Yeah.
not entirely sold on it, but the marketing sure was 2000s. I think there was a lot of the posters, a lot of those things. If you look back there, marketing and promos were very 2000s. So
Absolutely. No, carrying over again that sort of Matrix-esque, leather sunglasses vibe that was popular around that time.
really looking at these movies, I learn something new every time we do one of these kind of things. And what I'm learning now is that so many things in pop culture were influenced by the Matrix.
It
Like,
was it was huge.
and that might
Huge.
that might seem obvious to some, but like, just learning through this experience has really taught me that the Matrix really kind of was in every had its fingers in every pie. Like, we talked about that with Swordfish, how Swordfish kind of, there's a lot of influences with that. There was a lot of influences with um Triple X. You kind of
Y-
see it in everywhere we go. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff with Spy Kids. I think we both enjoyed it, but strange movie. Strange movie.
did you ever see any of the sequels?
I was trying to remember. I think I saw both the second and by the way, there are 5 of them total. I'm pretty sure at one point I saw the second and the third, and I couldn't tell you anything about them, but I'm pretty sure I did see them.
I think I saw the second.
I believe what I do remember about the series is the acting talent, because I know the second one I think has Steve Buscemi and Bill Paxton in it, and I believe Sylvester Stallone is the bad guy in the third one. Um, but and of course the third one famously Spy Kids 3D in 3D.
Right.
Um,
I
with
do
those
kind
blue
of
and red
remember. Actually,
glasses.
I remember seeing that. Maybe we should have picked that. That might have been more 2000s.
You're not
Maybe we should have
wrong.
picked that one. That I
Um,
forgot that was in 3D.
that
Wow.
was the whole gimmick.
With the glasses, yeah.
Yep, yep. Later done with, again, Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl,
That
which
must
I've
have been
never
more
seen.
like late 2000s, I would think.
Oh, by the time the third one came out,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's got to be close to like.
no, the third one was 2003. They came out oh
Oh,
01, oh
wow.
02, and oh
Oh,
three.
dang. Okay. I was
Yeah,
wrong
they
on that.
pumped those out.
So they kind of actually got ahead of the curve. That was a little bit before the big 2000s. I feel like, or the big 3D. I feel like the big 3D rigmarole was like mid to late 2000s. I'm thinking about Avatar, but
Of
Avatar I guess
course.
was kind of on the tail end of that. But remember,
Yeah,
like
no, no, no.
every movie had a 3D option where you can go see it in 3D.
Yeah, well, it was
That
like
kind of
what
bombed.
the famous one, Clash of the Titans in
Yeah,
2010, where they did like the
starring
effect
Liam Neeson.
after the whole movie had been done, and it looked
Yeah,
terrible. That would be, by the way, I'm not saying we should do this. That would be a fun series to do, like the mid 2000s epic remakes. So like
yes.
Gods of Egypt and Clash of the Titans, when they were all trying to cash in on the global box office for those types of movies.
Put it on the runner.
Put it on the
What
list.
I tell Steven from the the TIC is put it on the runner
And
whenever you get any ideas.
he's much
Put
more
it on the
organized than
runner.
I am, so I'm very confident that he's actually doing that.
What's next on our runner?
Well, Matt, I kind of want to stay in Crazy Town. And I also believe in release order, this would be next anyway. So we unfortunately have to talk about The Cat in the Hat, the 2003 film starring, of course, Mike Myers, released on November 21st, 2003, grossed 133 million in the US based on a $109 million budget, generally received as a massive commercial and critical flop, so bad that it made Mrs. Geisel, what's her name? Audrey Geisel,
Mrs.
swear off
Dr. Seuss.
ever making another Dr. Seuss movie as long as she lives. And another one would not come out until the animated film started almost a decade later.
I was just watching. Oh, I was in the theater to see Freakier Friday
Oh, wow.
with my wife, and actually not that bad. We can talk about that off camera, but um there is one of the trailers. Cat in the Hat is coming back. They
That's
are
right.
making a another animated Cat in the Hat film. This one looks a little bit more like a traditional animation style. This was live action, kind of mixed with CGI, but um, I just wanted to mention that there is
Yes.
going to be another Cat in the Hat.
Yes, Bill
coming out.
Hader plays the Cat in the Hat in the animated film. I mean, that's one of the things you have to mention when it comes to this Cat in the Hat is its predecessor, which
Mm.
was How the Grinch Stole Christmas in 2000. It was the first time, so famously, the Geisel estate did not want to make movies of any of their properties. They finally relented once they got Ron Howard, Brian Grazer, Steven Spielberg pitched in on the DreamWorks side to get the movie made. They made the live action How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Matt, this is one of my favorite movie fun facts because it just shocks me. Do you know that How the Grinch Stole Christmas is the highest grossing movie of 2000? It beat Castaway, Mission Impossible 2, Gladiator,
Oh,
Meet the
wow.
Parents, um,
I love that. I love that
X-Men.
fact. I love that trivia. I don't know
It's
if I love
crazy.
that happened, but I love that as a trivia fun fact. That's awesome. Just
It,
considering the movies that came out that year.
it,
But
it's a shock. And by the way, uh, it exploded at the box office. I don't think to you can't understress how popular this movie was in 2000 when it came out. It was a massive, massive hit for the studio and for the Dr. Seuss estate.
do you think that was because nothing had anything like that ever been attempted before? Was it just kind of the virtue of being the first of its kind?
I
Had
think
anybody like
it's
in terms of like a beloved childhood non-hero, like a childhood story where a film with a huge budget that seemed like it had a pretty big budget with the costumes, a lot of
massive.
very intricate costumes and set pieces, and Jim Carrey. I'm sure that was not, that's Jim Carrey at the height of his career, right? So
Yes.
I could see it. I could see it. If you told me it was the highest grossing, it wouldn't shock me too much, but it's still a really cool. That's a cool piece of trivia right there.
Listen, you combine Jim Carrey at the top of his game, he could sell any movie. The powerhouse studios behind it, including Steven Spielberg. The fact that it's a holiday movie, which are always
Yeah.
rewatchable and very popular, and the fact it's based on an incredibly popular story that everyone has seen every year forever in animation. It was a perfect storm, and so it doesn't
And
surprise me.
I will say this: I don't. People don't really give Jim Carrey enough credit. He was actually really good in that movie. I thought
I agree, but you know what?
personally.
And
Yeah.
we can pivot into Cat in the Hat. What I appreciated most about How the Grinch Stole Christmas is it's not all about the Grinch. The rest of the world is really well fleshed out, and it feels like a complete movie, a complete
Yes.
story.
Yes. They do a great environmental storytelling is on point in that film. It's very well written, well paced. People all just to gush on Jim Carrey again.
Please.
He like people don't understand how difficult physical comedy is. Physical
Yes.
comedy is extremely difficult to pull off. And he's one of the best. I would venture to say him and for my money, Tim Curry. I think Tim Curry also does an incredible job physical comedy.
Yeah, I might throw like a
They're-
Robin Williams in there, but
Robert
I
Williams,
agree with
yeah,
you.
sure. He's also
Totally,
one of the
totally agree
beloved
with you.
greats. Yeah. It's really hard. It's physically very difficult. You know, it's just all kinds, but great. That I it it gets I think it gets its dues and it gets its props well deserved.
Yeah, still a
Agree.
very liked movie, but it was so successful they immediately decided to greenlight another. And that was one of Seuss's other most popular books, The Cat in the Hat, starring Mike Myers. I love. How about another movie fun fact for you, Matt? The only reason, do you know who they? I don't know if you did any research. Do you know who they originally wanted to star in the role of the cat?
Bruce Willis. That would be Bruce
No,
Willis.
no, that would be funnier.
If it's not Bruce Willis, who else was really big at
It's
this time?
here. Let me put it this way: they were big at this time, and you're going to be like, "That's a bad idea."
Comedy actor?
Yes.
Carrot Top.
I think even Carrot Top was even done by then. No, it was Tim Allen.
Oh no, that's a bad idea.
Tim Allen, I'm
That's
going
a
to just read
terrible
you this
idea.
from the Wikipedia page because this is fascinating. The script was initially based on a version conceived by Allen himself, who admitted that as a child he was afraid of the character and it was his dream to give an edge to the character. He described in his version the cat as a human who turns into a cat, either like a werewolf or vampire, as he gets more frustrated with the children. And I'm thinking, I want to watch that movie. That sounds
Yeah.
really
No,
good.
that
Tim
sounds
Allen
great.
turning
Yeah.
into a cat as he gets more pissed off. That sounds really good.
I that would have been a completely different movie, but also like I like reimaginings like that. I do. You know, we all know the story. We all know Cat in the Hat. That is one of the things I will say I like about this film, and we can get into it a little bit more later, but I think that the telling of it is a little unique. It's not exactly wrote one step after another. They do kind of do their own take on it. However, I will 100% say I would have rather watched that movie with Tim Allen progressively werewolfing into a cat every time he gets mad at the kids.
It's a great idea. Listen, Cat in the Hat. So I'd never seen this before. I watched it for the first time. And I believe last week I said Daredevil was the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. And that might still be true. But what pissed me off, going into this, I had very low expectations. But you know what really bothered me more than anything else? I liked the first 20 minutes a lot. I actually was digging the movie because I'm like, it looks awesome. It looks so good. The set design is like dynamite. And I even think, again, not a lot of big name actors. I guess Alec Baldwin, but like Kelly Preston plays the mom. It's not Jim. They paid all the money for Mike Myers. I thought even they were fine. I thought the kids weren't too bad. I was kind of interested in Sean Hayes was awesome. And I was kind of into like the vibe of the movie and okay, it's the party, but the kids are going to wreck it. But it's for her career. And then Alec Baldwin's like sweet to her, but then like it wants to send the kid to military school, which I was into. And I'm like, all right, maybe this movie isn't going to be that bad. Maybe there's something to this. And then Mike Myers shows up, and the movie fucking grinds to a halt, and I hated every minute of it. He is so unpleasant in this role. By the way, it's not a well written role, I will say. I don't think the jokes are particularly great. They're a weird mix. The tone is all over the place with those. But I also don't think he feels like he's half assing the whole goddamn movie. He doesn't sell
Yeah.
anything.
Here's the problem, right? And I agree with you in the Mike Myers mailing it in part. What does the Cat in the Hat? If I told you, Sean, do your best impression of the Cat in the Hat right now.
Yeah.
Act like the Cat in the Hat. I It's weird, right? Because we only really know him from the book, the children's book, and it's usually our mom is reading it or dad, or they're the character of the cat in the hat is he's like a fun mischievous guy. So I think when you tell Mike Myers, like, I don't think anybody on set is like, this is what the Cat in the Hat needs to do, this is what
Right.
how he needs to act, this is how he needs to respond to other characters in a scene. They just said, go out there and be the Cat in the Hat. And I think he was just like, all right, this is how I be the Cat in the Hat. But what it comes off of is as a pastiche of every Mike Myers role spun into one, and it doesn't work. Unfortunately, it doesn't.
Well, yeah.
It feels like Mike Myers doing a bit about Mike Myers, but dressed up in a big cat suit. Like, that's what that ultimately feels like.
But the movie also doesn't go anywhere when he shows up. I mean, that's kind of the crazy thing. It has really one set. It's basically in the house the whole time. And it what I liked about that first part is there was like a narrative starting, right? She's going to have the party and there's going to be things happening and there's progression with Alec Baldwin. And then the movie just grinds to a halt when he shows up, and not in a fun way. I mean, this movie famously, Mike Myers was a total nightmare on set, a massive diva, wouldn't, one of those don't look Mr. Myers in the eyes kind of actors. Famously had a guy on set who would stand by with a box of chocolates, and Mike Myers would say chocolate, and the guy would come in and put a piece of chocolate in his mouth. And that's a true story. And he wrecked the movie. This was by a first-time director who he had worked with on Saturday Night Live. And Mike Myers just ran him over. And I think, to your point, Cat in the Hat in the book, not a lot there. But that's true of The Grinch, by the way. If you've read the book, the movie and the original animation expands on it a lot. It gives it a narrative. And I think there's a version. I mean, if you saw the trailer for the upcoming movie, you can see it's expanding the universe. And I think there was an opportunity here to, and again, give Tim Allen credit. That's a narrative part of the story, a transformation of the character. There's something there. This movie, it's literally like a sketch on a show where Cat in the Hat does bits.
You said give Tim Allen credit?
Unfortunately, you have to. Huh? Yeah, no, you do.
Yeah,
so no, I think it's just a massive swing and a miss, and there could have been something good there, and maybe that's what bums me out. It just it was bad.
So I think I'll go back and try to look at, we talked up Jim Carrey's performance before as the Grinch. I think acting as the Grinch, you already have like this idea. The Grinch is mean. The Grinch is devious. The Grinch is mischievous, right? The only thing that the Cat in the Hat is he's just kind of like a prankster a little bit. And you don't know if he's trying to teach the kids a lesson or if he's just there to wreck shit. Like, he's just kind of is who he is. And I feel like when you give an actor like Mike Myers full reign to do whatever he wants to do with the role, he's gonna goof on it. And I think he goofed on it, but in a way that was also kind of mailing it in. So ultimately, I wondered if he was just like, oh, people want to just see me be a goofball and run away with it. I feel kind of bad for the kids in this movie, the kid actors, because they don't really have a lot to do. I think with what they're given, the movie is very clearly written for Mike Myers to do his own thing, and that's the biggest unfortunate thing. I wish we could see a graphic of like the screen time that he had versus the screen time that any other actor had, because I guarantee the pie chart would be quite full of the Myers, man. So,
well, I think, and by the way, the rain didn't help him. Because I was, of course, I had to do a quote lookup because some of these are just nuts, including the cat is looking at a photo. Cat in the Hat. Humana, humana, humana. Who is this? Conrad. That's my mom. Record scratch. Awkward. I mean, it's just. Oh, by the way, I got. I think the moment I finally lost it was when they did the cupcake machine infomercial, and where it's the two Mike Myers playing off of each other. Do you know what that is a reference to?
I didn't know it was a reference. Actually, I thought it was just like an infomercial reference.
No, well, that's what's so again, trying to figure out who wrote this movie because there used to be a short-lived show in the 80s called Incredible Incredible Finds or something like that. And it had a guy who would wear the sweater with the wig and he'd come in and he'd be like, "We got something really exciting to show you guys today. You're never going to believe it." It was an infomercial, but there was a series of them, like a show. And they'd bring on the inventor and they'd show and it was a parody of that. And I'm like, that's the most specific reference ever. And it just I just couldn't believe it. I was so flabbergasted at this movie. Now, is it a 2000s movie is a totally different question.
That's what we really have to decide at the heart of it. It is a movie of the 2000s. Is it the most 2000-ish movie on here? I don't think so. I don't really think it is. I mean, we could probably make a case for the CG. There are some like I think he does reference some 2000 things, so it checks that box. But it's Cat in the Hat. Like it's not like it's the fact that it's not an original story doesn't really help its case. I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
I mean, I think in terms of 2000s, what it has going for it is it's a big budget version of a beloved children's classic starring a big name actor of the decade that was a disaster. And I think you could point to a lot of movies that fall into that category. That's a very 2000s thing.
That's actually that's a very good argument. That in it's kind of like in a meta way, it's a 2000s movie because it was of all the things you just mentioned.
And it also has that practical set look and feel that you didn't get after this decade. Even it's towards the end of the decade you didn't get it. It had that sort of bright color poppy that was both a holdover from the 90s, but was kind of refined in the 2000s a little bit. And the two biggest stars outside of Mike Myers are Alec Baldwin and Kelly Preston. It's about as 2000s as you get. So is it the most 2000s movie? We still got two more to talk about, but I think you could make a case that, I mean, this movie, Mike Myers doesn't star in another live action movie until The Love Guru in 2008. So, you know, definitely was a problem for sure.
Yeah.
Matt, why don't we pivot over and talk about our last two films, which are kind of, I think we're going to kind of review them simultaneously because I think their stories are intertwined with each other in a way. But it's two Pixar films. And obviously, you know, if the 90s is the decade of the Disney animation renaissance, the 2000s were really the decade of Pixar. And what I find interesting is you can kind of group it into like almost clear eras within the decade where you had sort of the supernova mass market hits in Monsters Inc. in 2001, Finding Nemo in 2003, and The Incredibles in 2004. Then you have Cars in 2006, which I think is kind of a middle ground. It's their most commercial movie. We'll talk about this. Made to sell toys to car toys to boys, essentially. So a pivot there. But then after Cars comes their sort of critical renaissance. Ratatouille in 07, WALL-E in 08, and Up in 09. Really sort of the most creative powerhouse sequence in Pixar history, which is followed up by Toy Story 3, a fine movie, and Cars 2, arguably the worst movie they ever made. So followed by Brave. So really, this is sort of the decade between 2009 and 2001 where it's all hits. It's all hits. And some of the most beloved movies ever. So I like that we're doing The Incredibles and Cars. We could have picked any of these movies. WALL-E, maybe one of my favorite movies ever. And Ratatouille is amazing as well. Probably two of my favorites. But what I like about The Incredibles and Cars is that they're two very different movies. I think The Incredibles is a work of art I think it's a touching family story. I think the action is great, and I think it's a very organic film. And what I love is Cars is almost the opposite to me. Cars is a very commercial film. Literally, you can do the research on this. It was created as a way to target boys, which Disney always had a problem with in their movies, and to sell toys because Monsters Inc. and The Incredibles weren't selling toys. And Cars sold a shit ton, and that's why they've made 3 of those. So, despite the fact that they came out back to back, they're 2 very different movies. Um, where do you want to start on these, Matt? That's my table setting.
Well, I'll speak about Cars. I had actually never seen Cars
Okay.
until, well, this was my first watch of Cars. I liked it. I was surprised how much I liked it, actually. I thought, "Oh, this is like talking cars, this is like the dumbest," but of course Pixar finds a way to make it, I mean, is it my favorite Pixar? Not by a long shot. It's not even in my top 5, maybe not in the top 10, but I still I was going in it fully expecting to hate it, and I ended up not hating it. You strike again, Pixar, like, 'cause I just can't find one that I really hate. I mean, I haven't seen all Pixar, but I really, I'm hard pressed to find one where I'm just like, "That was a waste of my time." They're all fun.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll have to watch The Good Dinosaur sometime,
I
and then you
think
can
what
talk about a waste of your time.
Oh, yeah, you know what? That might be the one. That
There are
actually
some
might be the one.
busts. There are definitely
Yeah.
some busts, but I agree with you.
Yep.
This is a successful film.
D Randy Newman, I
Of
think,
course,
was huge in this like, his
the
music
music was
is
huge.
great. Yeah, really good soundtrack.
The
Um,
Rascal Flatts "Life Is a
yeah,
Highway" cover, which is still popular. Sheryl Crow, Brad Paisley. Music was a big part of this.
yeah. Now have you seen any of the sequels?
I have seen parts of Cars 2, and it is worse than you can imagine.
Okay.
It's hot garbage. It's so first of all, not to get too much into Cars 2, they make Mater essentially the main character. Bad idea.
Mm.
The jokes get worse and cruder. And it is
Mater
it
is, Larry the Cable Guy?
that's right, Tow
Yeah,
Mater.
okay.
And it is basically like a direct to DVD sequel, except worse than that. It's bad. It's really bad. And to your point, where you're like, it was better than I thought it would be. I really think the stink of Cars 2 and even Cars 3 has really diminished the original, which I'm going to be honest, I think is actually a pretty decent movie. I enjoy it. I'm not. I agree with you. It's not a beautiful piece of art like Ratatouille is, but it's an enjoyable watch. The writing is good. Visually, it looks great. I think this is a great looking movie. They really did a great job with that sort of Southwest Route 66 feel. Um, and I think it's a good mix of funny with charming and heartwarming. And so I think it's better than it has any business being.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think, just the virtue of having Larry the Cable Guy in it, does that up the 2000s-ness of this? Trying to catch a fly.
It helps. Well, you got Owen Wilson. You've got Larry the Cable Guy. And by the way, I went and rewatched the original trailer for it. Who actually gets top billing is Paul Newman, um,
Yeah.
which makes sense. I don't know for a kids movie if kids are getting excited about Paul Newman, but I guess the parents are the ones who buy the tickets.
So, it's almost like a cheat code with the amount of people. Speaking of, we have some repeats. I'm looking at the voice list here. Tony Shalhoub, Cheech Marin,
Yeah, I got to see who all these people play.
both
Tony
of these
Shalhoub is
repeats
Luigi.
from our Spy Kids. They were in Spy Kids. They're also in this, in Cars. George Carlin? What? What?
Oh yeah, everybody's in this thing. Jay
Yeah,
Leno is. I mean,
Jay Leno,
the
John
the
Ratzenberger, of course,
cameos were very funny.
Michael Keaton. Yeah, I think it's all the little cameos. It's almost like a cheat code putting all of these stars into one movie. I mean, nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, like, if you end up with all these stars and doing all these cameos, like, yeah, you're gonna have something there unless you really screw it up with the writing, which it sounds like they did in, the sequel. Sounds like they kind of, the writers kind of flubbed it. How 2000s is this, do you think? Or do you want to do the next movie and kind of look at them side by side?
I kind of want to look at them side
Let's
by
do
side
that.
because
Okay.
I think they hit different things. The Incredibles, coming out 2 years earlier in 2004, obviously a massively successful film, $630 million at the box office, was Pixar's highest grossing movie for a long time. Um, the Great movie. I can't really say more than that. Written and directed by the great Brad Bird. It's looking at all of Pixar's films, to me, it maybe is the most complete movie they ever made. Like, it's not like the most interesting or unique, but it is the most sort of complete, the most sort of end to end solid film. Um and I think it's great. I don't really have a lot more to say about it than that. Matt, did you have any sort of specific thoughts and opinions on this one?
No, I think you pretty much said it all there. That's side by side, uniquely 2000s. It's going to be a tough one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick between these in terms of which is the most 2000s, I'm going to lean towards Cars. And the reason is I think The Incredibles is a great film. Um, but when I think about, like, Pixar obviously had so many successful films in this decade. They owned this decade, period. Maybe the greatest decade stretch, like I said, since the Disney animation renaissance of the 90s. Um, but when I think of that list of movies, it sounds stupid, but Cars is just the right, to me, when I think about the decade of 2000s, I think of like expensive mediocrity is, like, to me, what a 2000s film is about. It's not supposed to be great. It's not necessarily supposed to be terrible, but it's not supposed to be an Oscar winning film. If that were the case, another movie I realized wasn't on our list that would have made a ton of sense if we had any common sense would be Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2, which you
Sure.
could argue defined the decade immensely, defined the next couple decades. But we didn't pick it because we're not very smart. But to me, the thing about Cars that it spawned what it spawned, which was uh, in merchandising, in theme parks, in other companies trying to copy and spin it off, the plane spin off from Disney themselves. I think Cars has had more of a cultural impact than The Incredibles, for better or worse. And I think the fact that, again, the impetus for this movie is Disney. By the way, the same reason why movies like Treasure Planet and Atlantis the Lost Empire came out from Disney Animation, the same reason. We're sick of princesses. We got to sell toys to boys. And we know we can sell little car toys. And the fact that that's the purpose of this movie is maybe the most 2000s thing about it. That, to me, screams 2006.
Sean, I'm gonna do this bit now because I'm probably not gonna remember when the time comes. But
Okay.
there is a world, I think, where Sean and Matt are down to the final two films, and we have knocked out all the rest, and we are determining which one between these two is the most 2000s movie, and collectively we decide it is Spider-Man 2, not one of the not one of the two
Listen,
choices.
I,
We
I felt
collectively pick out Spider-Man 2, which was not on our rate. It was not a film we had chosen, and we just decide. It's like an Italian wedding soup moment. I think that would just be par for the course for this podcast.
I,
um
listen, I would not be that. Those are some great, but again, it's the struggle with this is ultimately we're not picking the most 2000s movie. We're picking the most 2000s movie we want to talk about.
yeah,
And I don't like
that's
too
really
good
what
of
this is.
movies because it's like The Incredibles. We sit here and say, yeah, it was great. We liked it. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was great. It was really neat.
What I'm thinking though with The Incredibles is I try to revert the argument back to 2000s ness. Like,
Sure.
is it culturally 2000s? Is it aesthetically 2000s? There's nothing there's nothing aesthetically or culturally 2000. I think there is something to be said for the impact that it had.
Sure.
As we can say about Cars, I think it also had an impact for future decades of film and future decades of film in this genre. But the movies themselves are, to me, not very indicative of the 2000s. Maybe, but between the two, I would say Cars definitely more than Incredibles it could have been made in the 90s. It could have been made if given the technology. It could have been made in the 2010s. It could have been made in the 2020s.
Well,
It's not like doesn't seem like it's quintessentially 2000s to me.
I
I don't
will
know.
give it credit, though. I will give The Incredibles credit because that was the first Pixar film primarily starring human beings. Monsters Inc. before it, Finding Nemo, Toy Story, obviously. And this was a difficult production because it was the first time they had to animate human beings, essentially, in action. They didn't take it easy. They didn't go easy on them. And if you look, we talked about DreamWorks Animation, obviously a big competitor at the time. They don't do a mainly human movie until 3 years later in 2007 with, of course, everyone's favorite, say it with me,
The
B
Good Dinosaur.
movie.
Oh, B movie. Yeah. Yes,
Um,
yes.
and so it definitely, and the other thing is people talk about that Pixar look, right? That permeated animation. The Incredibles gets a ton of credit for that because if you look at the human beings in the movies before that, they look crazy. Like look at Andy's mom in Toy Story 1. It's crazy.
This isn't
And
a fair fight, Sean. You read that book. You read that damn book
I
about
read
Pixar.
I read books. What can
You
I tell
read
you?
that whole thing.
And by the way,
By the way,
I
I do want
also
to read that though. That has been
um
on my Goodreads for a long time. What's it called? The
the
the magic
Pixar Touch, I
the
think.
Pixar Touch. Yeah,
Um
it's on there.
I would also recommend, by the way, another book I read is The History of DreamWorks, which
Yeah,
is called The Men Who Would Be King, which is an
that's the one I was
awesome
thinking of.
book.
Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
really good book. But The Pixar Touch is very good as well. I would recommend both. But yeah, The Men Who Would Be Kings is a great read.
Yeah.
Um, Anywho, no, I ultimately agree with you. I think Cars more so than The Incredibles, but not to listen. Like I said, we could have picked Ratatouille or Wall-E or Finding Nemo, any of these others. I'm glad we picked The Incredibles because I do think of lasting impact of all these movies. Maybe Finding Nemo a little bit, but I think The Incredibles for what it brought to the world of computer animation. And the fact that I think this is sort of maybe the most sticky movie of all of these that people remember and have an emotional connection to. Again, Finding Nemo, maybe that competitor. I definitely think it belongs in the Hall of Fame. Is it number one? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Whoa. Bless you. See,
I
that's
didn't mute that. I
that's
thought I
all
muted that.
that's all the exhaust. We're talking about cars, so that's all that exhaust from the
Do cars sneeze? I will say
Um,
that is one of those like dumb guy pet peeves of mine,
mm,
where anyone who is like, but cars, like, how do they reproduce? And like, they try and concoct
yeah.
stuff like
Well,
trying to like poke holes in the universe where cars are the people.
is this like people are like, is it like a post-apocalypse where humans are
Or they're
dead
even
or
like,
something?
there's a shot where there's like a line for the men's and women's bathroom. How do cars go to the bathroom? It's like,
How are
don't
cars
be that
gendered?
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where
Just
do
can't
children
think
cars come from?
you can't think. Yeah, just can't think too much about this.
No, it's
It's like
a
trying to
children's movie.
overanalyze Cat in the Hat, starring Mike Myers. You just
Yeah,
can't.
don't do that.
You just don't do it.
All right, Matt. Well, we've gone through our 4 movies. We're towards the end of our time here, but it is a tournament after all. Only one can survive. So we've talked about Spy Kids, The Cat in the Hat, The Incredibles, and Cars, our 4 children's films. Only one of them is going to advance into our tournament. Now, the other 3 have a chance to come back in our wild card round. But tonight, we can only pick one to advance. Our most 2000s movies to head to the bracket with a shot at the championship. Matt, which movie is your choice for the most 2000s kids movie? Not an easy call.
This is a lot harder than last week.
Well, to be fair, last week we didn't actually pick a winner. We picked 2 of them. So
We didn't. We didn't. And we are still and we're still in a standstill. Spy Kids, I guess. I'm gonna probably say Spy Kids.
you with such conviction.
Yeah. I gotta pick you know what? Like I have to pick one. That's the one I'm gonna pick. I don't know if I'm gonna fight super hard for it, but I don't know if I like any of these choices to be the
Well,
most
listen,
2000s.
I'm going to
But
be
I
honest
don't
with
know
you, Matt.
what would be. I don't know what would be
We
the like if not these 4. Maybe it just
we
wasn't a great decade for kids. I don't know.
no, it
We
was.
were
We
kids
totally
in
blew
that
it.
decades, but like
No, we sucked wind on this one. Like I said, Shrek
it was
would
a
have been
great
an easy
decade in
one.
other areas. It was a great video game decade for kids. I would argue probably the best.
Well, unfortunately, we're not. I mean, listen, I'm just looking at a list of 2000s children's films. There was the Harry Potter, the first film. You could argue is a very 2000s movie in look and feel and impact. That would
Yeah,
have been an easy one.
that would have been a layup. I would have picked that
Uh,
over any of these.
I think was the Santa Claus 99, but that would have been a fun one. That feels very
Yeah,
90s to me.
Jack Frost. If we count that, that's probably a kids movie, and I think that was.
I would love that movie's crazy. I would love to talk about
Jack
that.
Frost is insane.
We need
No,
to do an insane
unfortunately,
movie month.
that was actually 1998, so that would not have fit our category.
Dang it.
All right, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say Spy Kids. You could say another one, and I'll say okay. We'll go with that one.
Don't
I really
put
don't.
this on me.
I don't feel like I'm
Well,
gonna
here's the
fight
thing,
super
right?
hard for them.
Matt,
For those Spy Kids.
I love screwing with our own premise because we're in charge. We're the bosses. We make the rules here. And since last week we picked 2 movies, why don't this week we just pick no movies?
Okay.
There's no rule against it.
Okay.
And by the way,
it be like spiritually, can it be Spider-Man 2? And but it won't like make it on or make it further.
Sure.
But we'll just have that be the bracket.
We'll call
winner.
we'll call it a tie between Spider-Man 2 and Shrek.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
no, well,
the 2
listen,
movies
the
we should have picked maybe, and like, you know.
Yeah, no, we blew it. I mean, Lord of the Rings. I mean, I think there are a lot of iconic movies.
I wouldn't say that's a kids movie though.
No, I'm saying in general, but
but in general, yeah.
All these movies can come back in the wild card, so don't worry, we're going to revisit them. What an interesting discussion. I am happy I watched some of these and very depressed I watched others, which means that we did a good job.
Yeah, overall, that's it. That's what Up for Debate is all about. Just being happy but a little bit depressed about our decisions.
Our quality
our
of program
choices.
is up for debate. Matt, next week, question for you. We got 3 more genres to cover: comedy, drama, and host's choice. Do you have a preference for what we cover next week?
I am going to let Katie choose, who is sneaking. She's being very sneaky back there.
Oh, she should come on as a guest.
She came, you know what? She came in to get her computer charger. Come on down.
Is she watching the movies with you?
No, this is her free time. This is when she gets to not do anything and hide somewhere.
Oh, that's great.
So today we reviewed kids movies.
Okay.
Last week we reviewed
action movies.
Yes. What we have left are drama,
comedy, and host's choice. What should our next category be between those 3?
It's choice.
Oh, bold decision. Do you want to hear what movies we'll be talking about?
Yes.
All right, you're in for a treat. Now, we're going to be watching the live-action Wachowski sisters version of Speed Racer. We're going to be watching... This is all like Dynamite directors. We're going to be watching Michael Bay's magnum opus, Transformers. Okay. Which I actually think is a better movie than it gets credit for. So I'm kind of excited to talk about that. We're going to be... Now, you wrote X-Men, Matt. Do you want to be clear which X-Men movie you're talking about?
The very first. Like the
original. The OG.
Original one. Wait. No, I was actually talking about the one with the Juggernaut.
Okay. That's... Okay, the Juggernaut's in... That would be X3?
That's the one. That's the one I'm talking about.
Because I know I had originally pitched X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Right.
Which is terrible. But you want to do X3, which is fine. I want to be clear.
Yeah.
You have to pick an X-Men movie.
I haven't seen Wolverine. I can't can't speak to its 2000s-ness. But I know the one with the Juggernaut. I felt like that was a very 2000s-ish movie.
That movie is so bad. I'm not looking forward to this. Okay, we're going to watch really X3. Bad, And then lastly, this might be up your alley, Katie. Have you ever seen the Josie and the Pussycats movie?
I have not.
Oh, it's a blast. One of my favorite movies. It's a hoot. Well, listen, Katie, I'll put out the invite. I'm not going to be shy here. If you want to watch the movies, come on the show next week and talk about them. We'd love to have you. Because we're failing. We're doing a terrible job.
I will regretfully be away in North Carolina.
Stop.
Family,
they have movies there.
Matt will be on his own.
Oh, no. That's really... So basically the show's done for. We're canceled. He's not going to make it. Essentially. By the way, Jelly Jubilee in the chat says, tell Katie I said hi. Also, sorry I'm so late to the stream. It's the thought that counts. Wonderful. Well, host choice next week. It's going to be a hoot. Very excited to watch those films. I think they'll be fun. By the way, Katie, just you came in a little late. Matt and I are so bad at our jobs. We had one thing to do tonight, which was of the 4 movies we talked about, pick one. We successfully picked none. We chose not to pick a movie.
We-
That's how badly we blew it.
We did. We did
What
not
movies were
like
you
any of
supposed to
them.
talk about?
So tonight it was children's. It was kids movies, and we watched Spy Kids, The
Ooh,
Cat in the Hat, The
okay.
Incredibles, and Cars. And the goal is to pick the most 2000s movie, and we literally couldn't decide, so we just picked none of them. Do you have an opinion?
Spy Kids, 10 out of 10.
Spy-
That's the way.
Yeah, and Matt said it as well. I mean, I'm
Yeah, I
outvoted
picked Spy
here,
Kids.
so maybe that's going to be our choice. I don't disagree.
I thought Spy Kids would have been like my the movie I had the most fun watching, but I don't know about its 2000s-ness.
I think it's like
Both
Iconic
iconic
and
and time. Whoa,
Wow,
whoa,
like a watch, like a
big
Rolex.
words. All right.
Iconic and timeless. Well, I
Well,
guess a watch can't be timeless, right? It's a watch.
a broken watch would be timeless.
Yes, that's more like it.
That sounds like a very bad like Yogi Berra saying.
It does.
Listen, we're gonna start wrapping this up here because it's been a great show. A hoot all around. Thank you, Katie, for stopping by. Always a pleasure. The invitation is permanent.
Thanks, Sean.
Always a treat. And hopefully I'll get to see you in person next month. Listen, we got some great stuff coming up here on the show. Next week, we're going to be doing Host Choice. I already announced the films, so make sure everyone out there, you watch them and catch up. If you haven't listened to our past episodes, make sure you catch up as well so you hear the whole saga. At upfordebate.tv or wherever you get podcasts with the video version on YouTube. You can check it out there, see our wonderful faces. And of course, follow our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/upfordebatetv. There you'll be able to watch us live and comment along. Thank you to everyone who joined us, Kit Day and Jelly Jubilee, and everyone who joined us in the chat tonight, including the one spam account who's been posting. And lastly, I of course have to plug, Matt, you have your own plug here over at the Tomorrow is Canceled at the podcast, which is fantastic, and people should subscribe, as well as the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Tomorrow's Canceled Pod.
Yes, that's right. We got Tomorrow's Canceled, as you said, Sean. Tomorrow's Canceled Pod for the Instagram, Tomorrow is Canceled Pod for the Twitch channel, and Tomorrow's Canceled Cast for the email. Tomorrow's Canceled Cast at gmail.com. It's like a puzzle. It's kind of like playing blueprints, right? It's like everything can't just be the same. It's got to be something's got to be a little bit different.
Here's the thing: make it easy on yourself. If you just have to follow them once, and then you're going to always see the. You don't have to remember.
That's true. You don't have to. Only I have to remember when I have to plug these things. I'm the only one. I'm only torturing myself.
We're going to get you a written guide or something. We'll help you out.
That's right. But we had a great stream yesterday. I thank everybody again for stopping by, playing through Blueprints. We had a record high 22 viewers, 22 eyes on that screen. It was really cool. So please, Tuesdays 7:30 is the time, and the place is Twitch on our Twitch channel. Tomorrow's Canceled Pod. So go
follow it. You won't even have to remember when he goes live. You'll get the nice notification.
That's it.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks everybody for joining us. On behalf of Matt, I'm Sean. We appreciate it. We're going to see you next time for more great 2000s movies on another wonderful episode of Up for Debate.